Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure to stay to the end of the video because I will be going through each pair, analyzing what happened this week and potentially what could happen next week as well. But I hope you do enjoy the video, guys. But with all that said, let's get into it.
Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So as you can see, this pair is looking extremely bearish. Again, we were expecting dollar strength coming into the market. We did have a bearish bias for Euro USD. Had a couple areas we were targeting, looking for a push into this low here, and then potentially, return back to those lows all the way down there. So just make those thicker, and you can see we've actually pushed past through both of those levels. So I wasn't actually expecting that for Euro. I thought potentially this level, and then maybe if you were very, very bearish, you can make it to these lows. But as you can see, we push further beyond that. So Euro USD is still looking quite bearish right now. If you actually jump to the weekly, you can see how the weekly's closed. Momentum is still with the bears, and all we've seen is just a continuation of that bearish leg that we've seen over the past few weeks now. So the market is still bullish. It does look like we're starting to break through this support here. And potentially, if that's the case, the next area I'm looking at for Euro USD is this area here. Just underneath the 1.1 mark, nice resistance there, support, and a false break of that area, and eventually we did see all that momentum. So I'm looking at 1.1 if that momentum sustains. So to take advantage of that, we need to see price hold below that prior resistance there. Well, support will now be acting as resistance, so we need to see price hold below this level, and if that's the case, I'm expecting more downside for Euro and more strength for the dollar. If we look to recover and the market gets back above this, then we can be looking for buys to take advantage of the retracement back to the upside. We found support here, which price just broke through very, very aggressively and never came back to retest, so you could potentially see the market come back and test some of these areas. Just depends if the market wants to retrace or continue bearish. So got two setups, two ideas for next week for Euro. Again, we'll be focusing on this level to make our judgment. That price swing low there will now be term resistance, so we'll wait for some retracement back into this area. If we do hold this as resistance, then like I said, I'm expecting continuation, and potentially that longer weekly target could be met. Obviously, first target will be those lows, but like I said, we can go a lot further. If not, and price storms back above this level, we'll be looking to see what the market can do on the retest. If we can hold that, we'll look for buys. First target will be 1.12356, which was this support here, which we broke through this week as well. And then I'll be looking at this area here at 1.128. So if we hold that as resistance, sell buys, suspect continuations. If we break back above, retest, we'll look for buys around the 1.11866 area, back up to 1.128. Okay, so now I'm going to focus on USD JPY. So for this pair, strong push to the upside this week. I was actually looking for the market to come back and revisit 113, which is this support, but we failed to take out this area. We formed kind of a double bottom, and we saw all that momentum. Again, with that dollar strength, price did rip to the upside there. So USD JPY looking a little bit interesting now. We are coming into this prior level of resistance, a prior swing high over here on the left at 115,500, which price did break through not too long ago, but then we did snap back below. So I'm looking to see if we now hold this as resistance, because if we do, this could be price forming a resistance, false break, retesting, forming potentially kind of like an unorthodox head and shoulders here, and we could actually roll over back down to lows. But especially if US dollar does keep up that strength and we do snap above this, I'm looking for continuations back to highs, which is 116,400 there for USD JPY, and potentially further, because looking at the higher time frames, the market is still overall in a bullish trend here, so we could still very much continue to the upside. So for the week, jumping down to the 4H time frame, you can see we already reacted slightly with this level there on the left. So we'll see if the market can maintain that. Hold this as resistance, 115,500. We'll look for downside targets. First area would be this resistance here, and then we can probably push this a lot further if we can get back below. So we'll be looking for something like this, stop loss above, first target there, and then potentially can push it further. However, if we don't and we start trading above this area, we will expect a continuation back to highs and just see that overall bullish momentum continue. We'll look for the break and retest entry and targets at 116.5, 350 to be exact. And then potentially you can push it further, maybe 117 could be a next psychological target, but just to be on the safe side, we'll look for push into those highs. So going to be focused on this level here, 115,500 for my bias. So far we're holding underneath, so potentially could roll over. We'll look to see what we get on Monday, but if we do break above or retest it, we're probably going to continue back to highs for next week for USD JPY. Okay, so now we're going to move on to USD CAD. So USD CAD looking fairly bullish this week, big push to the upside. Again, from last week we had a bullish bias, price was holding on to 1.25, nice psychological level, and also this support in the left, putting multiple wicks at this area. So we were expecting simply price to continue to the upside. We did have this as a target, but I did say potentially could break through, but I didn't want to be too overly confident because it is a strong level and it could drive us back down. But with the help of US dollar strength and the news, price did take off quite rapidly to the upside. So I'm still bullish on USD CAD coming into next week. I'm still expecting more upside. In fact, I'm looking for price to come back and revisit these highs here at 1.29500-ish, which is that wick and that high up there. So I'm expecting more upside for USD CAD back to these highs. However, right now we're coming to some strong area of resistance. You can see we wicked to the upside here on the daily and actually gave us a strong move to the downside. On the 4H, we grabbed some liquidity and then rolled over. So, and 1.28 as well. So we potentially could see some downside from here for USD CAD. Again, we do need to see some retracement. So overall for the week, I'm looking for a little bit of bearish behavior at the start of the week, some retracement, and then maybe second half we can see that continuation. I'm probably not expecting price to reach these highs next week unless US dollar is very, very strong and CAD's weak. But I am targeting that for the next couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so. So yeah, for USD CAD, looking for some retracement to the downside. You can look for some intraday sells here, from this high potentially if you want to, but I'm mainly focused on the buy. So hopefully I can see some healthy retracement back down into 1.26400, which is obviously this now acting as support again, and then looking for continuations, or if we do break above this high, then we can look for break and retest option back to 1.29500. So a few possible setups. I'm mainly focused on buys, so I'm not going to really entertain a sells unless it's a really, really good opportunity and the price actually looking good. But I'm mainly focused on these buy opportunities, but if you want to, there may be some nice sells to take it back down again. Intraday trades back down into 1.26400 for next week.
Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, we did see a sharp move to the upside quite quickly at the start of the week. However, as you can see, pretty much after that, we came all the way back down. So for Euro Pound last week, I was expecting some bullish momentum to the upside back up into this resistance. You can see it better in the 4H. So yeah, I was targeting this resistance, which happened very, very quickly start of the week. So I was anticipating some retracement back into this resistance for continuation. However, as you can see, we broke back inside the range, retested it, and went to go and fill that range into the downside and actually further. So the market for me for Euro Pound, if you go on the weekly time frame, actually had a fake out to the upside. I believe that the market just pushed up, tricked in some buys, and now we're seeing the bearish momentum from the overall trend still intact and still looking strong. So I originally had a target 0.83. Looks like price is probably going to hit that fairly quickly. So I'm looking to see if the market will actually come right to the bottom of these lows here, which started this massive move. I think we could actually go and take out these lows maybe before we do see a reversal. So I'm looking at 0.82761, dropping back to the daily. Actually, if we drop back to the 4H, you can see we do have this price swing low, which we do need to break through to go and test that higher time frame weekly level. So there's two ideas I have to sell the market. We do have this area here, put it on drop to the hourly or maybe even lower to get some good entries, but we did have this support holding the range, was resistance. We did see some downside short-lived. So now if we can hold this resistance again, there could be some nice sells to take it back into that weekly level, or the break and retest of the prior low, get some sells impact that weekly level. So bearish is my bias for euro pound, looking for push into that weekly level of support. The only way I'll look to flip my bias and look for possible buys is if we can get back above this level here at 0.83362, we'll say. Get back above that, we could be forming a double bottom here to go bullish again, and then naturally this will be our first target. So looking for the buy there on the retest, after that double bottom potentially forming, and then looking for pushing to the highs of the range, and then maybe you can look for that breakout and the reversal. So that's the only way I'll look for buys. Stay underneath this level. Basically, I'm looking at shorts back to that weekly time frame. That massive wick on the weekly, is making me lean towards more of the short bias. Nice shooting star candle. This is probably just a fake move, giving us another lower high to roll over and see some new lows. So that's why I'm bearish on this pair. But if we do get back above, then potential buys from that area. So bearish in euro pound, looking for 0.82761 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got AUD USD. So you can see very bearish this pair. Again, we did have a bearish bias coming into the week. We finished the week around here, and I said we do have two targets this week, which is this support here, that price from low, which we hit fairly quickly on Monday, I believe. And I said if we do break through this, our next target would be obviously these lows here, around about the 0.7 area. Really nice psychological level. So you can see we smashed into that level. We're so far just about kind of holding that level, but overall the momentum is still quite bearish. Looking on the weekly time frame, you can see momentum is deafening with the bears, but we are coming to a fairly key level of support. You can see the last time you actually respected this area, you saw quite a colossal move to the upside, all the way up to 0.78. So we are trading at a very key level. But if we do break this and we see that bearish momentum continue, I'm next looking at 0.68 down here. So there is still downside for AU if we do smash through this level. So for next week, simply gonna look at this level and base my judgment from that. If I scroll to the left on the daily, there's kind of like a slight kind of mid-level around here. You can see the resistance there for those spikes and the support where we did see some upside. So I won't be targeting, if I'm looking for sales, I won't be targeting this level in one go. I would like for some retracement for that, but there is quite a good chance that price could make it into these lows if we do break through that support around the 0.69300 area. So drop to the 4H, you can see overall still trading around this area of support. Taking that into Monday, we're going to see how price reacts with this. If we can maintain this as support, there could be some nice buys back up, because we have seen a very aggressive bearish leg, and you can see on the daily we never came back for a retest of this support. So we could see the market make a recovery, come back to retest some support, now turn resistance, maybe roll over again or reverse. We will have to see, but there could be some nice buys to take it back up into 0.71, which will be that support to resistance. If we don't and we break through, we'll be looking at price coming for a retest of this level as resistance, and we're looking for this next level here, and then potentially that next level at 0.68. So a bit more of a longer term analysis there for AU. So if you can respect that level, essentially looking for buys. If not, looking for sales. Really, those are our bearish targets: 0.69300, 0.68. And if you can respect that support, looking for a retest of 0.71. Okay, so next up we've got NZD CAD. So as you can see, extremely bearish for this pair. We've been bearish on this pair for the past 3-4 weeks now, expecting more downside. Again, it's actually almost hit the target on the weekly time frame, which is this main support here on the left. As you can see, very big moves to the upside, tested again, false break of that level, and then a massive reaction when we got above. So this is the area I was expecting price to come to, where potentially we could see some retracement now, some recovery, and the market could bounce from this support, which is around 0.83430. Not quite there, but we're coming to that area this week. So looking for buys for NZD CAD, no more sells. Of course, we could break through and go a lot lower, but we want to see that break first before we do anticipate that. So looking for buys coming into this week for the market to retrace, recover, and see some upside. But do be careful, because just looking for buys at this area, off one candlestick, can be a little bit risky, especially when you're going up against all this bearish momentum on the 4H, on the daily, on the weekly. We do want to see a little bit more evidence that price is holding this area and getting prepared for reversal before we do stick in those long trades. Price right now is trading in a little bit of a descending channel here, connecting those lows and those highs. So I want to see if price can actually break out of this channel first, give me the first bullish move, and then I'll look to catch in on some retracement, maybe on a retest of a prior high, a retest of the trend line, something like that to go long. So that's really what I'm looking for. But this area here, 0.83342, 0.83300, is the main area I'm expecting the market to bounce. Not looking to specifically buy that area, but around there with a nice bullish pattern, we'll go long, and potentially looking for a push back up into this area here. Nice resistance at 0.85. Very, very key psychological level. So that's the target for NZD CAD. Looking for buys coming to some strong support. Want to see a breakout first, and look to get involved after some retracement. Okay, so now we're going to move on to pound NZD, and as you can see, this pair is still ripping to the upside there. Very, very bullish. Was looking to see if the market can hold this wick all the way up here to see some downside for some retracement. We were forming in a nice ascending channel here, and I was looking for if the market can break out of this and see some nice downside. However, we failed, and the market picked up a lot of bullish momentum towards the end of the week there. So still looking bullish here for pound NZD, not holding that level. There is another area I'm now focusing on, which is this wick here, all the way up here on the weekly time frame, which I do think if the market can hold, we can see some downside, because the market is coming into some need of retracement after all this bullish momentum. But again, do be careful with these sells, because the daily, the high time frames are very, very bullish. So obviously the sells will be a more difficult opportunity, but we are coming to some key area of resistance. So if we can hold this, I'm looking for the market to come back and retest this high here, which when we broke through, we never got the retest. So there can be some nice selling opportunities. Again, probably just retracement, but there could be some nice sells back into this area. Break back beneath, we could probably see a reversal. If not, the market stays bullish and breaks through, then we could actually be going a lot higher and see the market really push on. Again, got some areas or some wicks around here on the daily, can look to target. So dropping to the 4H time frame, we're trading around this area now. You can see those wicks there. So the market has given us a slight inclination that we're holding this level. Not enough to base a short trade off yet, but something to focus on early next week. If we can hold this, we'll be looking at push back into 2.027 to retest that level. If not, we can look at buys and take this a lot further. Probably next psychological level will be 2.006, which does line up with those wicks there that I just showed you on the daily. So if we can hold this, some nice sells to come back down again and retrace. If not, break and retest. Expect the market to continue a lot higher for next week. Okay, so coming up next, we've got CAD JPY. So for this pair, I'm bearish on this week. I was bearish on this week, and even next week, I'm still going to be bearish for this pair. I'm looking for the market to roll over. Again, you can see the market formed this higher over there, just before that higher formed. I said if the market can stay above this, I'm expecting continuation to those highs, but I failed to do so. Essentially, we consolidated around that level, but you can see we've broken out to the downside with all that momentum, retested it again this week, so I'm expecting more downside. And if you go on the weekly time frame as well, you can see right now we're holding a very key level of resistance, which started all this bearish move there, and we're holding as resistance right now. So I'm expecting the market to fall for CAD JPY, holding these areas. The first target for this pair was at this area, which we did hit this week, I believe. Yeah, we did come into this level this week, so that was the first target. But once that level's broken, I'm looking for price to come into this double bottom. So long-term target, I'm looking for 88. That might take a couple of weeks for price to get there, but that's when we'll be selling CAD JPY 2. But we do need to break through this area here, because this could actually take us bullish. So this area here around 90, if that breaks, I'm expecting 88 down there, or more or less 88. So the plan for the week for CAD JPY is either, if we do push up to the upside one more time, we'll look for that next kind of level of resistance, which is this area here on the 91 mark. We'll be looking for sales there. First target 90, breakthrough, we can push on a lot further. So that is the first kind of trading opportunity. Again, we do need to stay below that level. And then if we just dump to the downside or don't see that retracement, we'll break below 90. We'll be looking for the retest of it to go short and look to target 88. Of course, you don't have to target all the way down there. There's multiple areas of support and resistance you can look to target depending on what type of trader you are. But essentially, that is where I see the market going if we can get below 90 and retest it. So that's the plan for CAD JPY, looking for pushing to 90. Hopefully we can get some retracement. If not, we'll look for a break and retest at 90 and expecting a lot more downside. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at pound USD. So pound USD, we did see some downside continuation this week, which we were expecting. I did have two targets this week. I believe this was the first target here at 1.35, which price hit very, very quickly. And the second target was this major support here, which you can see price has actually broken through that as well. So I had a third target, which also I made whilst I was streaming, which was this area, which price is currently holding. But you can see we've basically seen a lot of bearish momentum this week for pound. Obviously, US dollar was quite strong this week. So pound USD overall still looking bearish. Right now it is holding that last support, which I just mentioned at 1.335. Was support over here, resistance with all those wicks, resistance there with that wick as well, and we never got the retest when we broke through. So price is coming into this area now, which could give us some nice buying opportunities, bigger potential buying opportunities potentially, but I'm looking for a push into this resistance here on the left, where price last time it held it as support. You can see over here on the 11th of November when we held this as support, we did see that move back up. So we'll be looking for the same move, obviously, if we do respect this, back up to 1.35. so that's the plan for pound USD. However, if we do break through this and stay below it, because we could snap below and then come back above, false break, all that good stuff, that can easily happen. But if we do break through and start holding that as resistance, I'm looking at the market filling that range up to 1.32. And overall, if we do go into the higher time frames, the market is still, technically bearish, still respecting this trend line, and there's nothing stopping us coming back down to these lows, especially if US dollar does keep up that strength. So there's still a lot of downside if pound USD wants to break through that support. If not, hold that, looking at some retracement back up and looking at price recovering. Right now it's a little bit messy there. We did see a nice push there, but overall it's kind of sideways. So if we can maintain this as support, we'll check on Monday, see what type of price action we can get from 1.336 and targets at 1.35. If not, and we break through and we just see this bearish trend continue, we'll look for the retest as resistance, another lower high formation, and a push back down to lows at 1.32 for next week for pound USD. Okay, so let's take a look at pound CAD. So pound CAD, as you can see, overall this week kind of choppy, price was just moving sideways, and towards the end of Friday there, we've seen some upside momentum, potentially breaking out this consolidation and continuing up. Coming into the week, I've been quite bearish on pound CAD. I did say we're ranging here, so if you can break out, respect those highs there, or previous lows, now highs, we could roll over, but we failed to break out, and price is looking like it's breaking to the upside. So digging deeper into the 4H time frame, you can see we have this key level of support and resistance, which was the level that I did say if we can hold from that, could expect a continuation happen. And at one point, it did look like that continuation was happening. but we failed to break through or hold underneath, I should say, because we did break through the support, but we failed to stay under and we snapped back above and turned bullish. So pound CAD now trading above this level at 1.71. So next week potentially could see some upside if we can stay above and now hold this as support, especially if that breakout on the daily is happening. So targets to the upside will naturally be these previous lower highs. So that will be the first target, 1.71700, and then we'll start looking at 1.72200. So do have some nice targets to the upside if we can maintain this as support. First target there and the second target there, depending where you want to push the trade into. But if you do get back underneath this, I will maintain my short bias and look for that overall push to the downside back into these lows and even further. But I do want to see price get back below this level of support and resistance, because it did hold quite nicely previously. So the fact that we're back above that level again, I'm expecting to see some bullish momentum unless we snap back below, of course. So get below that, retest it, look for some entries to get short. Again, first target does have to be below of the consolidation, because we could hold, you know, back above this and consolidate again, but potentially could push the trade a lot further. But that's what we're going to be looking for this week, back into 1.69800. But if you do respect that, I'm looking at upside targets of 1.717 and 1.722 up there. Okay, so pound JPY up next. So for this pair, I had a bearish bias coming into the week. I was looking for the market to get to 152.500 down here, which is this support figure, that support there. I was looking for this area to hold its resistance basically this week at 154.500, and we did see retracement back into that area. So again, this week, same bias, looking for continuations to the downside as long as we can hold that. I'm looking for that range to get filled. We did find support at 153, so that will be the first area I'm looking for, but then 152.500 will be the next. So I'm expecting bearish continuation. If we do break above, then potentially could see some upside into 156, maybe even further. But main bias is bearish, and looking to see if we can hold that come Monday, form a nice lower high or something like that, and look to get involved and expect continuations. Like I said, first target will be 153, but then looking at 152.500, 152.400. If we do break above this and start using this as support, then we'll be looking at this level first, and then 156 up here as a place where price would go for pound JPY, because if you do get above that, we'll probably see some more bullish momentum on the higher time frames, and naturally, since we did come back to retest this area, then your price does have an incentive to come back and meet this area again. So naturally, we'll be looking at 155.400, then 156 up there. If not, and we can do what I'm expecting price to do, which is hold this level as resistance, we'll be looking for price to drop back into 153 this week, but then we'll be looking for some new lows at 152.500 for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to gold. So gold, big dump to the downside this week. I was actually expecting more upside for gold, which we did see. My first target was hit for gold at 1850. But I was having second targets at 1868, which was up over there. You can see we didn't quite make it past that 1850 bit. We came back, we tested that area, and then, you know, fell to the downside. But essentially, I said, as long as we stay above this level, I'm expecting bullish continuation back to highs, which we did see into that first target. Then the news came out. Obviously, gold reacted bearish to that, and a big move to the downside happened, breaking back below 1830. So I do have a bearish bias now for gold. Currently gold is trading at a very, very strong support. You can see prices respect to this area, big push, another big push, creating a higher high. So this 1787, 1788 area is strong support, but I do think we'll break through that eventually. We might retrace and then break, or break straight away. Either way, I'm expecting that to break and for gold to come back into this area here, 1850 or slightly above 1850, because gold essentially has been moving sideways for quite some time now. Since last year June, we haven't really gone anywhere for gold. We're still trading alongside and just moving sideways from that price action. So I'm looking at price coming back into the lows of the range around 1750. I'm considering this and that move as false breaks of that support. So I'm looking for the market to come back into that. So jumping into the 4H time frame, like I said, I'm expecting to see some retracement because it is an important level, and gold has seen a lot of downside, so naturally you do expect retracement. But I think it's probably just going to be more intraday trades, not really a swing trade, but you can look for buys here if we are holding this on Monday, looking for the market to recover a little bit back up into the 1811, 1812 area. But if we do see that, I'm getting ready to short this because I'm expecting price to really continue to the downside back into back into 1787, which is that support, and then I'm expecting 1752 all the way down there. So for me, I'm mainly focused on the sells. Either if we can retrace back into that, I'll look to sell it back down, or if we can break through that level straight away, then I'll be looking for the retest. So if the market just continues to dump on Monday, Tuesday, we'll look for the retracement and then sell it down, or if we do retrace back up, then I'll sell it down. So bearish buys for gold, potentially some intraday buys at the start of the week, but I do expect more downside for this one for next week. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you can see we are seeing some retracement. Last week, I said I'm not really interested in Bitcoin because it's not really in any key area. If you just drop to the weekly, you can see the main areas I'm looking at is this 30, 31K area, and also back at this area here at 40K, 41K. So that's the main areas I'm focused at. Right now, I'm not too interested in price. So you can see we are retracing to the upside. We have seen a lot of bearish momentum, so naturally we're going to expect some retracement after that. But mainly I'm focused to see if price can get back to one of these areas, and then there could be some nice setups. For Bitcoin, we are retracing up, so if we can continue that a little bit more into 40K, respect that, there could be some nice sells right back down into 31, 30K, which is this support down here. Or if we don't see that retracement happen quite, and we just dump again to the downside, we'll see if we can hold this and look to take advantage of the retracement back up again. So my bias from last week still stands. Not too interested in price where it is right now. Naturally, it just looks like price is retracing, so we'll keep an eye out for 40K, see if price can get there. Get above that might be a little bit interesting, but I'm mainly looking for sells there for Bitcoin, respecting 40K, and targets will be at 30. And then likewise, if we can hold that support, we could see some upside again, because this is a very, very important level. 30K, you can see held that support, big move up, even bigger move up, so we could see buyers stepping back in it and driving price up. So naturally we'll be looking at buys back there again, but we'll have to see for Bitcoin. First looking at 40K and then 30K for next week.
Alright guys, so that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. Like always guys, if you didn't understand anything, any questions, agree to disagree with my analysis, let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. If you are enjoying the content, feel free to like the video. It does help the channel out. Subscribe if you want to see more, and also hit the bell so you don't miss out on any uploads in the future. But with all that said guys, have a great weekend and I'll catch you all next week.